Guys, let's get to our top story. And I think this, something we've been expecting for a while, but Ricochet, Rico, Mr. Samantha Irvin himself, has signed a multi-year deal with All Elite Wrestling. So the former WWE star, according to a report by Fightful, he is expected to make his debut at All In on Sunday at Wembley Stadium. Let's see. Ricochet spent 6 years at WWE, but was written off television following an attack by Braun Breaker. Since his departure, been a ton of speculation about his next move, which I think we all kind of figured he was going to AEW. The 35-year-old superstar has remained silent about his plans, but insiders have long suggested AEW would be his likely destination. So, he not only has signed, it looks like he is going to be headed to London, England this Sunday for All In.
It's a trade, him and Penta, right? That seems okay. Like, I'm okay with that. Right.
And then,
I mean, like,
and of course, eventually Phoenix,
but someone else will jump too at some point. Like, again, we said this with Penta jumped. Like, this is healthy for pro wrestling in general, just to have some movement. Like, I think Ricochet hasn't been interesting in WWE probably since his NXT run. So, I mean, like, the fact that he's going to come here, I think that he's probably going to be a better fit in this roster. Right. So, it's a good thing. I think debuting him at All In this weekend is going to be a cool thing. Good for him.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool, and I think that he's not going to ever be their world champion.
No, that's okay.
But I want people to be like, okay, they need to set a reasonable expectation. This is probably, as far as positioning goes, probably going to be a lateral move. But here's the kicker: he's going to get to do more of his shit. He's going to get to be Ricochet. In AEW, he might get some bigger opponents, but he ain't gonna get no victories over Ospreay and Okada or anybody like that. But he'll get to be the Ricochet that we all know and love here in AEW.
I bet it's more than a lateral move for him. I bet he's much higher up the card in AEW than he would be in WWE. Because I think all the top guys are going to want to work with him. How many are going to want to put him over is a different story. Yeah. But I mean, like, at least I think he's at least in the conversation for stuff. And quite frankly, in February 2022, how many of us really thought Swerve Strickland was going to be a world champion there?
I feel like you and I were pretty early on him. Maybe not in February 2022, but I felt like, because we liked him during his MLW and Lucha Underground days. I thought that, you and I specifically, I'm just going to give us credit. Fuck everybody else. But I thought you and I thought that maybe not the world champion, but I thought that he would be a star there.
Yeah, so did I. I remember having this conversation on the old show, and we said, yeah, he would be big. But I mean, like, I don't think we were on an island, but it was pretty comfortable. It was like a resort. There weren't a lot of people there.
No.
So I think here's the thing is, like, you move into these places, some good things can happen.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to sit there and say, well, he's not going to do this. It's because for a lot, he kind of curtain jerked a lot of his WWE run.
He did.
So at least he has a shot to at least become a player here. And then it's on him. AEW is kind of sink or swim with, like, what you do, Yeah. Like, they push you if you can find a way to get over, So I think I don't know. I think this could be a good thing for him. Like I said, he's going to have to get out of his comfort zone. Like, I'd like to see him be Prince Puma, quite frankly.
I thought Prince Puma was awesome, and
Prince Puma was awesome.
And I love Ricochet, specifically his New Japan stuff that he did. And of course, I've never been a PWG guy. It was just never been my thing. But I did see some of his PWG stuff. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty fucking cool. And I liked his NXT run. I was still watching NXT when he was there.
Yeah, me too.
And but of course, he never quite made it on the main roster. But that happens to a lot of people that are kind of his type, kind of a smaller guy, and he's not a great promo. No. Never has been. That's always going to be a weakness of his. I am worried about seeing him in. And I think somebody tweeted out like a meme or a picture or something like that of him and like facing off with Jericho over the FTW title. Like, I do worry about stuff like that. It's like, can we just, let him do the cool shit, let him wrestle Pac and Ospreay and Okada, let him, I want to see Omega, I think that would be cool when Omega's healthy. Like, let him do the cool stuff, but keep him away from all the dumb stuff.
I want to see Omega. That's what I want to do. I just really want to see Kenny Omega again.
Yeah. That brings me to another story that kind of broke earlier this week. Well, it didn't really break, but Dave Meltzer said that Omega's still not doing great, but he's hopefully going to be getting better and he should be returning. And then when he does return, Kota Ibushi said that he will be ready by the time Omega returns, and then that's when he's going to show back up.
Kenny Omega gave everything he physically had to the sport of professional wrestling, and specifically his AEW title run. Like that man, that man was the champion when AEW had its most viewers and like its most selling the most tickets. Like I want to say he's probably the most successful champion they've had as far as like a weekly, basis as far as town to town and stuff like that.
I'd like to see a study on that because I think you're probably right about that. I think some people might maybe point to like they would try to point to Punk, but he just never held the belt for that long. He got hurt both times.
Yeah, Punk did not have a title run, so to say. So Punk definitely their biggest draw, but I mean, as far as the champ, right? Like if you want to give credit to the champ, it's got to be Omega, right? Mm-hmm. So that being said, like that guy gave everything. Like he's probably he's 41 at this point, and there's a lot of miles on that car, man. And I just miss the guy. I do.
Yeah, for a long period of time, I would say probably 2017. I think up until Will Ospreay's like most recent rise, he was like my favorite, like bell to bell pro wrestler. That like anytime he was on the card and you knew he was going to be there, he was always going to be probably the best guy on the show.
Kenny Omega was one of the inspirations for me to write Gaijin because I started coming up with the story during Kenny Omega's rise. So like in my head, like I was always thinking about Kenny Omega when I was putting that thing together. So he's a guy that holds a lot of weight with me as far as being a talent goes. Very transcendental, I think is the term I'm looking for. It's late. My brain is fried. Talent. I'm a big Kenny Omega fan. I think the promotion is just better when he's around, quite frankly.
I think he makes everybody step up their game because he is one of the guys in AEW that can do both things. He can cut it. I think he's a good promo.
I think he's a good
promo. I've always, especially when he was a heel, I thought he was a really good heel promo. But I think that he ups everybody's game, like not only in the ring, but I think just his overall presence on the show. I think he makes everybody work a little bit harder because the measuring stick is there, no matter where he goes.
What I love about Kenny Omega's promos is that they're so different, right? Like so many guys have the WWE style of delivery.
Bitch.
Down.
Yeah.
Bitch. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, which has like been every Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné promo is like, they have to end it with that. So
Peppermint's a genius. So that's what I like about Kenny is he's just different. Like it's a little odd, it's a little quirky, but that's kind of what pro wrestling should be. Like he's unabashedly Kenny Omega, and I respect that about him. Heel, face, like he's just him all the time, and there's something to be said about that. And I don't know, like guys like him and John Moxley, you're just getting them all the time. Eddie Kingston, another one. Like there's not enough guys like that who aren't trying to be something, who just are.
Yeah, I think he's always been unapologetically himself, and I think like his heel character and his babyface character are just kind of slight variations of who he really is. I think that when he was a heel, he was just just kind of a dick. But he could probably be that person in real life, but he just kind of crank up the volume.
I always loved the New Japan heel character, like the original Cleaner, because it was like a nerd's idea of what a cool guy should be, right? And it was definitely Kenny overcompensating, right? And you felt that in the character work, which I think that Kenny brings a lot of himself to his work in that regard. Yeah, because the AEW character, the AEW heel, was just a dick, right? Yeah. But he was like a veteran dick who'd been around, who was a little bit jaded and who knew he was the shit. Right. Yeah. But didn't play it off like anybody else in that role. Like he very much played it like the way a dork would be a dick,
Yeah. No, yeah, he absolutely did.